strike you as kind of cool?
I haven't seen anything to go up and
I
actually
know.
look at. So.
That's the problem here. You don't actually go get to see them. You're talking to everybody.
I've seen a lot of people I wanted to see.
People say, well, what do you see in news? And I don't get to actually watch anything.
I can give you a list of websites to go look at that'll tell you that.
Yeah, there you go. It's exactly
That's
right.
their job.
So, I looked at a couple of guns. We went out to the range. We're shooting the last couple of days, so that was fun. Got to try some of the new stuff.
Nice.
There's a lot of new stuff. I think gun companies were waiting through COVID, holding on to their new stuff and saying, okay, there's no point in making it now because, there you go. Oh, hey, look, here we are. Hey, everybody, we're at SHOT Show 2023 in Las Vegas. It's Gun Talk. Glad that you could join us. I'm Tom Gresham. We're joined by Adam Kraut. He is the Executive Director of the Second Amendment Foundation.
Yes.
Adam, it's a new position for you.
Yes, it is.
But you're not new in the Second Amendment fight at all.
No, I've been around for about a decade at this point. So.
Right, okay. So Second Amendment Foundation, which a lot of people know, SAF.org, is, I think, the premier organization doing litigation in terms of Second Amendment. Right now we have, I don't even know if we know how many, 50 lawsuits maybe?
Active cases, there's about 42. That number.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I have, my spreadsheet has it. I don't.
And the big news is that last night you dropped a big one, a big lawsuit.
We did. So recently the state of Illinois decided that it was going to just go full bore and ban a lot of things. And
ban a lot of things.
I mean, that's the best way to describe it. But among
guns, magazines,
right.
Anything that could sweep up and get in there.
Yeah, so we filed a challenge last night in the Southern District of Illinois challenging the assault weapons ban down there.
Right.
And that was, the culmination of a lot of quick work from the timing that they passed that bill to get that on its way. And so that one's now moving.
And we got assigned to a judge?
We did get assigned to a judge. We got assigned to a Trump appointee.
A Trump appointee?
Yes.
Cool.
And so in theory, we'll see where that
Should
goes.
be good. And interestingly enough, I was looking at his background. This Trump appointee actually belonged to the Illinois State Rifle Association.
Okay. Well,
in the past, which may be good. I hope it's not disqualifying.
No, I don't think it's disqualifying. A judge is supposed to be a fair and impartial arbiter and look at what the text of the Constitution is,
right.
And interpret it via that way. And the test is, we've discussed several times on your program now under Bruin is, text as informed by history and tradition. So seems like a fairly easy roadmap that is very objective.
You would think.
Yeah.
We shall see. But Illinois passing this law and getting it signed into law, it's part of this continuing theme of particularly blue states of flipping the bird at the Supreme Court, saying, okay, yeah, you did Bruin, but you know what, we're just going to double down here. And so that's kind of the landscape right now, isn't it?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is rather than going, okay, the Supreme Court has again told us what the Second Amendment means and how that applies, we're looking at a bunch of states and hostile legislatures enacting all kinds of laws that go well beyond what is may even be permissible. And I think what the strategy may be is let's just put everything against the wall, let the court sort it out, and whatever sticks at the end, we'll be happy with that, and maybe we'll come back around on the other side and take another bite at the apple.
Maybe they get a little bit, and they're happy with that. It's that long game. We'll take a little bit, we'll take a little bit, we'll take a little bit. And of course, for us, we're thinking, okay, we'll go that way. We're going to take back a little bit, and Bruin gives us that mechanism. So, and of course, there are a lot of cases right now, and they're all driving toward the Supreme Court. And of course, we're hoping to be able to get them there while we still have the makeup of the current court.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, again, we have 40 active cases. Certainly not all of those are headed towards the Supreme Court. Okay. The Supreme Court, if you look at its jurisprudence and how it even selects cases, thousands of petitions to the court to hear cases happen a year. They select 100-ish.
That's like 3%, something like that.
Yeah, and usually there's an underlying reason, like a circuit split, so the different circuit courts have different answers to the same question, and they want to resolve that.
Right.
Things of that nature. And then we look at, certainly the Second Amendment lineage of cases. You had Miller back, long time ago, and then it wasn't until Heller in 2008. You get McDonald, which was a SAF case in 2010.
Right.
You have Catano, I think it was 2016, and then you have Bruin.
Okay.
If we're talking about cases that opinions came out of, and that's it.
It's not a lot.
No, it's not a lot.
It really isn't. And I've heard people say, actually the jurisprudence on the Second Amendment is still kind of young.
It's in its infancy for sure, yes, especially if you compare it to, say, First Amendment litigation, which, has been developed over the last 100 years, and a lot of what has happened in the Second Amendment context has borrowed concepts from that First Amendment jurisprudence that does exist.
Okay, so Illinois, they are banning semi-automatic firearms, a whole lot of different types, banning standard capacity magazines. Is the idea at this point to try to get at least some type of injunctions to stop the enforcement of that until this thing proceeds so that people aren't caught up in this mess?
That's always the idea, usually, is to try to seek injunctive relief from the court in a preliminary fashion. It depends. We were successful in other cases in getting it, other cases not so much. So
Right.
we'll see how it goes. If I had a crystal ball to predict how this would come out, I might be in a different profession.
All right, so let's switch and talk about what's been going on in New Jersey. I'll just kind of toss you that big softball because that's a very interesting situation.
So back to your comment earlier about blue states and enacting laws that kind of flip the bird to the Supreme Court. New Jersey enacted a law that, much like New York, that regulated where a firearm could be carried. So Bruin said you have a right to bear arms outside of the home. There's some sensitive places, and they identified several courthouses and legislative assemblies. And so New Jersey said, that's nice.
They said, sensitive places.
Right.
They can't carry in sensitive places.
Everything will be a sensitive place.
There it is.
Right. And so New Jersey enacted a number of different restrictions with carry, including, carry in your vehicle, private property, and turning the private property idea on its head, where it used to be you had to post that no firearms were allowed. Now it's just a general understanding that no firearms are allowed, and they actually have to post that firearms are in fact permissible on the premises.
Right.
Museums were another one, and then event places, which included a whole lot of things under its umbrella. And there were several other provisions in the law, but those were the ones we had challenged. I think there might be one I can't recall off the top of my head.
Right.
And so we sought relief against that and got a temporary restraining order against the state of New Jersey.
Right.
The state of New Jersey is saying, well, we need more time to develop some of the historical stuff. And the court saying, well, interesting. Bruin was last summer. And here we are. It's January. You had plenty of time, especially because your legislature and the way they had a preamble to their law saying that, we know what the test is. You guys had plenty of time to figure that out.
Right.
So, now the next phase in that will be the preliminary injunction hearing. The state will have an opportunity to find more evidence that it might be able to proffer, but who knows? I suspect that if they haven't found it yet, they're not going to find it. But, again, I don't want to...
And this is just part of this thing that's going on where, New Jersey, New York, where they're just saying, okay, we're just going to push it as far as we can.
Yes. I think that's exactly right. I mean, New Jersey's law was very similar to what New York did. And again, litigation on the whole thing, as well as the places of worship.
Right.
We had gotten a preliminary injunction in the places of worship challenge that went up to the circuit court. Circuit court said, well, we're going to hold off on enforcing that. And,
Sorry.
No, you're fine. And so that's where things currently sit there. So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing it in those two states. I suspect you might see another one or two try to enact some things, but they may be also waiting to see how these cases shake out to figure out whether they're going to be successful and, whether they want to spend the resources to have that fight or not.
Okay, so your sets, you've been at this a long time, kind of where we are, because we've got a lot of things going on. We've got California, we've got New Jersey, we've got Illinois now. From the outside looking in, for me, I'm looking at it thinking, this is more activity than I've ever seen before, and I kind of feel like we've got the wind at our back, and it's feeling pretty good right now.
I think the Bruin decision altered the legal landscape, not because it necessarily changed anything, but because it went back and told the lower courts, you guys have been doing this wrong. We told you how to do this in 2008,
Right.
and you did it wrong since then, but this is what you should be doing, and what you should be doing is what we told you back then.
And they actually didn't pull any punches. They said, you've been doing it wrong. You've created,
One step
invented
too
this,
many.
Yeah, they've invented this two-step process of, yes, it's actually covered by the Second Amendment, but we kind of feel like society has a vote in this, and because we like the idea of society having a vote, we're going to say, yes, it actually prohibited, this law you have passed is unconstitutional, but we're going to say it's okay. And the Supreme Court said, no, that's one step too many. You can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they really did slap them down with that.
Yes, and they said it not once but twice in the opinion too.
Okay.
Just in case it was missed the first time, here it is again. Because clearly, the court was frustrated that the lower courts weren't applying the test faithfully that was spelled out in Heller.
So if it ends up going back to the Supreme Court, I'm imagining them coming back and going, okay, we really did mean this. It's like, we've told you twice, we're not going to have to tell you again. And they do the GVR, which is, Yeah.
Grant, vacate, and remand,
Right.
which means they grant the petition, they vacate the judgment of the circuit court, and they send it back down saying, do it the way we told you
Right,
to
we're
do
not
it.
even going to hear this thing. We're just going to tell you, go back and get it right.
Yes.
Which is really what that amounts to.
Yep.
And I think we're going to see a bunch of that. So for those who may not know, you might just explain what SAF is and kind of what it does. I mean, and I know you're new in the slot here, but I know you know because you've worked with SAF before.
I have, yes. So SAF was founded in 1974, and since then it's been heavily involved in the legal arena, a lot of litigation, a lot of public education and publishing on Second Amendment issues, and to inform the public about the scope of the Second Amendment, that it is an individual right, and how that affects them. So most of our work, again, is primarily in the courts.
Right.
Since our founding, we've been involved in over 250 cases.
Wow.
That's as a party funding it if it wasn't appropriate for us. So there's an individual that we're, helping a lawsuit because there's a public good that'll come out of that decision,
Right.
or as an amicus. So we're filing a brief in support of another party's case, saying, here's information for the court, and we support this person's position.
Right.
Pro Second Amendment stuff there, and that's what we do. We're really good at it.
Yeah, exactly. Got a lot of practice at it.
Yes.
And this is where I make my pitch is if you want to be involved in the Second Amendment fight, this is a group that's really working. And Truth in Advertising, everybody knows at this point, I'm on the board of the Second Amendment Foundation, believe in it, supported it for many, many years. It takes lots of dollars.
It does.
It's stupidly expensive. And the problem is we're having to use our money on our side to fight our money on the other side because they're using government dollars, which is our dollars, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, so it's like, okay, if you got the cost of a box of ammo or the cost of a gun, whatever you got, and you can throw it in the kitty, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so we have a couple of different ways that people can help. Certainly, financially is awesome. You can donate on our website if you want. You can set it up so it's a monthly recurring donation. So you want to say, hey, I want to give you guys $5 every month, $10, whatever it is.
Right.
You can just do it, set it, forget it. Spreading the word to your friends, family, letting them know that we exist in our work. Go check us out. If you like what we're doing, tell the world. It helps.
You could also do planned giving.
You can.
That's right. You could put SAF in your will. That's cool.
Yes. Yep.
Not that we're wishing anybody dies. You understand that, right? Okay. But just saying,
Yes.
there it is. We're all going to get there at some point. So
Right.
That's a given.
There certainly are a variety of other options that we have available too as we're continuing to grow the organization and focus on our mission and continue to fight for the rights of Americans everywhere.
Sounds good. If you want to know more about it, go to saf.org. You can sign up for the newsletter. You'll get all the information. You'll get emails that tell you what's going on, and you will be the best informed person in your group when it comes to the Second Amendment. Adam Kraut, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. My
Appreciate
pleasure.
you being here. All right. We're going to go back on the floor, and we'll be back here before you know it with more news from SHOT Show 2023.
For more great gun content, subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. You can also watch the Gun Talk channels on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon. And of course, you can always find us at guntalk.com. Thanks for watching.